I think we should all agree that strength and conditioning should play a really important role if we want to have a good quality of life and of course a good quality of running. But the problem as I see it is that there's almost too much choice of the things that you can do, which makes it very quickly become overwhelming. Help! So if you're a runner like me who loves running but struggles with all the other stuff like strength and conditioning and making it a consistent part of your routine, I'm going to give you 2 things. I'm going to give you 5 exercises that require little thought, easy to do, and they're going to bulletproof you when you're running. And I'm going to teach you a little bit about habits so that you can start forming your own and making these exercises stick. But let's start with what strength and conditioning actually does for us as runners. Running uses muscles, so the better the muscles, the better the running. But what's better? Strength and conditioning, simply put, can create stronger muscles. It can create more durable muscles that can work for longer, more supple muscles that don't get injured as much. And not just muscles, ligaments, tendons, the whole 9 yards. So to be a better runner, we need to be a better strength and conditioner. And this is the hardest part of the run for me, when it's over and then I have to start thinking about and doing all of the non-running stuff that make my running easier. And throughout my lifetime of running, I've created a lot of processes and habits that I use to make these things happen, which we'll talk about a little more later in the video, but I'm still not always successful. So I reached out to a good friend of mine that I've known for over 20 years, I lived with at university, and he just so happens to be a very highly qualified PT and strength guru. That last bit, in my words, not his, he's way too humble to say something like that. And I needed Mark, or Mark Jones, or Jones the trainer, I'll link to all of his socials in this video, to give me the 5 strength exercises that he thought would be best for runners, both in terms of improved performance, but also injury prevention. But they had to be easy, repeatable, and require minimal equipment. And you know what? I think Mark knew that this moment was going to come, but I'm going to call him anyway. This is like the bat phone. Mark.
Hello, mate.
It happened. Just like we knew it would. I need your help.
Look, it's okay, don't worry about it. Let me put something together for you. Ben told me that he was looking for some strength exercises that would help to bulletproof runners and improve their performance. And while I know 1,831 different exercises that could help runners, Ben asked me to narrow it down to just 5. Cheers, Ben.
Yeah, sorry about that, Mark. But what I'm going to do for you, if you're watching and you want to know a little bit more, is I'm going to show you how I do this workout at home, because I don't have all the equipment that Mark has. I have some of it, but I'm going to show you how I adapt what I'm doing to suit me with my surroundings. The only thing I would say is non-negotiable is a resistance band like this, but you know what? You can get them for about $5 on Amazon. You can get a pack of 5 with different levels of resistance. And I'm also going to put up information as to why it's beneficial for your running and how many sets and reps you might want to do. Back to Jonesy.
Okay, so the single leg movement that we're going to go through first of all is a rear foot elevated split squat, or sometimes known as a Bulgarian split squat. Most of your running life is spent on one leg, so therefore it makes sense to be able to select a movement that will target all the big players when it comes to the muscles in your leg. So with the rear foot elevated split squat, you are elevating one foot onto a bench for the setup. Now, you can either do this with a collapsed foot like so, or with your toes on the bench like this. Remember, with this movement, the main driving force is coming from the standing leg. However, the rear leg is also providing a stabilizing force by putting pressure through the bench. And then you're just dropping your back knee towards the floor and driving back up through the leg that's in front. The second exercise I'm choosing to show you is the single leg stiff leg deadlift. The reason I'm choosing this one today is because it's a great one for feeling the lengthening through your hamstrings. For the setup, it's good if you can use some kind of weight, as that helps to anchor and control the movement a little bit more.
I'm actually using this water bottle as my weight for this one,
as well as loading up the hamstrings in the leg that you're working. So the key here is to brush your foot backwards along the floor, and at the point at which you can't go backwards anymore, you start to raise your heel to the ceiling like so. The dumbbell follows the path of your leg down, and then you squeeze through the glute and shorten the hamstrings to return to your starting position. One thing to be aware of is that as you go back, you're trying not to open out your hips as you go down into that position, or have your leg ruddering about behind you. If I show you this from a side on position, as you move into the single leg, stiff leg deadlift, your heel should go up towards the ceiling, meaning that you finish with a nice straight line from the back of your head down to your heel and feeling a stretch in that hamstring. The double leg exercise that I like to use is a heels raised goblet squat.
This is my platform.
The reason I like this exercise is because it targets the quads. Having the heels raised can help with any issues that you might have with ankle flexion during a squat movement, but it also means that it can unlock the depth in the goblet squat. The key here is that you move slowly downwards and upwards through this. If you're having issues with your knees or any squatting movement, you can always reduce the range so that it's pain-free or manageable. Now, when it comes to core work, I tend to use rotation and anti-rotation exercises. And these are good for not only building up the core muscles and supporting the rotational movement that goes through your body when you're running. This exercise in particular is also great for bulletproof in your lower back. This is called a Pallof press. This is an anti-rotational exercise that can be done using a band or a cable. To start off, you want your hands with your fingers linked together, starting in the middle of your chest at your sternum. From there, you take a side step outwards so that you have a little bit of resistance on the band. Once in position, soften your knees and brace your core, and simply press out and back in and resist the rotation that the band is adding through your core. A very simple but very effective exercise. And last but not least, to target the glutes, we've got the single leg hip thrust. With the single leg hip thrust, aim to get your upper back and shoulders onto the platform behind you. And once you've moved into your starting position, your feet should be directly underneath your knees. Make sure the leg that you're working is towards the center line of your body, and lift the other heel off the floor so it's in line with your knee. Keep your chin tucked into your chest and your eye on something directly in front of you. Lower your hips to the floor, drive through your heel, squeezing your glute at the top of the movement. Now, of course, this is another good exercise that can be regressed to a double foot exercise, like so, or even progressed by adding a weight onto your hip and driving through that hip, like so. So there you have it. Out of the many movements we could have chose to help with strength training for runners, those are the 5 movement patterns that I've narrowed it down to. Of course, when it comes to strength training, the most important thing is movement before muscle. Therefore, it's important to work on the movement patterns before you think about progressing any of them using any variations or extra loading.
With only a few pieces of equipment, you can do a workout that's going to bulletproof your running, make you stronger and less injury prone. And please do me this favour, go and find Mark on Instagram, show him some love, Jonesy the trainer, and go and have a look around his website. He is a dude that seriously knows his stuff, so I can't be more thankful that I know him and that he came on the channel and helped me out. But now we're going to jump into some very quick tips, but very handy tips, about how you make all of this habit part of your daily routine. Make it stick, because I need to as well. So now you have the strength and conditioning exercises, you need to work out how you make them part of your daily routine, how you make them habit. And I'm going to give you the 3 different strategies that I use on rotation or as and when the situation needs it, that I can make the strength and conditioning part of my day. And the 3 strategies that I use are momentum, habit stacking, and habit scaffolding. And I'll tell you what you need to do for each of the 3. Let's start with momentum. This one is easy. Just at any point in the day when you are already on your way to something, already moving, and it doesn't have to be something with purpose. It could be once you've got out of bed and you've gone downstairs to maybe make breakfast, but you're moving, then just do the strength and conditioning or break some of it down and do a little bit there. Or maybe as you're walking in from work, the moment you come in the house, you don't sit down, you don't stop moving, you go straight upstairs to get changed and come down for strength and conditioning. It's essentially just anytime you're moving, you're utilizing that momentum to add something onto the end of it that is purposeful. And second is habit stacking. A little bit like momentum, you're just putting a good habit on top of an already established good habit. So for me, the way that I found I could make strength and conditioning work was when I come in from a run, I start to do a small amount of strength and conditioning, so I'm already doing a good habit, which is the running, and I'm putting that strength and conditioning on top, and it just makes it easier than doing it in its own set time, like a 40-minute workout on a day I don't run. That's the bit I actually find hard, so I'm kind of momentum and habit stacking to make it happen. And finally, it's habit scaffolding, and what we do with this is you start to create the habit that you want, like strength and conditioning, but you don't actually yet do the strength and conditioning. You create a scaffold for it. And what I mean by that is maybe for the first week or 2 or 3, you just decide a time that you would like in the future to do your strength and conditioning, and you turn up changed at that time. That's the win. And then you don't actually need to do the strength and conditioning, or you could even set a rule where you don't yet. And then you just keep showing up like this. You create the space for the workout without actually doing the workout for a while. And that's creating the first level of the habit. And then scaffold on top of that, maybe 5 minutes of doing a workout when you've created the space, but you have to limit yourself to 5 minutes and you have to stop then. And you do that for a couple of weeks, and then you scaffold on top of that. Yes, I can stay for 20 minutes. I can do a workout for longer. And actually by that time, you've built an amazing habit of showing up, creating the space for that strength and conditioning workout, but you've also created a want to do it. You're probably getting frustrated at this point that you're not doing it or only doing 5 minutes. So you're creating the drive to want to do it, which is also quite powerful. And there you go. That's the 3 techniques I use on rotation to make my strength and conditioning habit. But wait, there is one more thing I need to tell you. And the big news is that our new merchandise is finally out. We really like it. Here's what it looks like, and if you like it, there's a link in the video description for you to go and buy some yourself. And if you liked the video, then you're definitely going to like this video, which is the 4 steps to forming any good habit, and actually how you remove bad habits as well. And don't forget to consider subscribing, but no hard sell. And I'm going to see you on Sunday.